Hello, welcome back. I'm just chilling with Empress Cygnus in Empress Road by her side, as of course, where all Mihiles should be. This is where I go when I log off, of course. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's time for the guide video. I'm super excited. I guess I'll just give you some story time before, some background. Not a full story time, just kind of half story time. On why I chose to main Mihile. I've been playing Mihile since, I don't know, before Reboot, definitely. I made Mihile, yes, I did main Mihile before Reboot. I have a 150 Mihile on Zenith, and yeah, I've always, like back then, I played Mihile because it was a joke class, it had the lasers back then. It was like a what the fuck class, but now it's like, I have to say, I chose to main it again in Reboot just because of the update. I was curious how much the class has changed, if it is still a joke class. Thankfully, it's not. It is, the class has gotten a lot more complex and a lot more fun, in my opinion. So, it is definitely a worthy Cygnus Knight, although a lot of people, still kind of hate on the class, make jokes about it, me included, of course. And yeah, so, I've gotten pretty far. It is the furthest character I've ever taken in Maplestory, and I thought it's time, just to talk about it, because I love talking about the classes that I main, but for some reason I have not talked much about Mihile. So yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so we are in Knight's Chamber, Areve, one of my favorite maps of all time. Absolutely love this map to death. Just kind of chilling with the statues of the great. Mihiles are a Cygnus Knight, so, we kind of belong here. But yeah, anyways, let's just get started. I thought I'd start with the basics of Mihile first. I know a lot of you guys are already falling asleep, but, the basics are the building blocks, and we'll get to the more advanced stuff, like bossing, 5th job, the juicy stuff, in another video. So, basics. Mihile. So, yeah, Mihile is... you guys have probably heard that Mihile is a very tanky class, and I definitely agree with that. But the distinction I'd make is that they're definitely like an active tank as opposed to a passive. Like, I've heard some people say like Mihiles can't die. That's definitely not true. I die all the flipping time. So yeah, an example would be like, if a Mihile takes a one-hit KO attack, and you do nothing, press nothing, you kind of just AFK, take your hands off the keyboard, or you don't press anything on time, you're gonna die just like any other class, right? Just like a mechanic or like a jet, as opposed to like a paladin, which is a passive tank, where if a paladin takes a one-hit KO, they can kind of just passively tank it and, autopot for the win, they're back in action, right? Whereas a Mihile, you'd probably die. So, that's the distinction I'd make. And you kind of have to tank stuff. And the reason why is, I guess, first thing I'll talk about is Mihile's mobility, which is definitely under average. That's the best way to describe it. Mihile only has 2 ways to move, double jump and rush. And, Mihile's rush compared to heroes is, kind of crap. It's definitely a usable skill, but it's not the distance you rush isn't, that long, which does play a factor. And I guess the speed of rushing, there's definitely faster rushes in the game. And yeah, I guess, it's an under average rush skill, essentially. It's called Radiant Driver. By the way, it's not actually called Rush, but yeah. So the next thing we'll talk about is, I guess, the flash jump itself. I did say we'd start with basics, nothing more basic than this. This is basically just the typical warrior flash jump, which I guess is under average, right? Compare it with thieves, Mihile's got nothing on that kind of mobility. And I guess because of this, this is definitely deliberately designed by Nexon, in my opinion. It just gives you incentive to block, right? Incentive to kind of tank stuff. Otherwise, Mihiles could kind of just play you can't really play the playstyle that other classes play, which is kind of just dodge everything. Because a lot of times, the mobility is so crap, you kind of just don't have you just can't dodge some stuff, and you have to tank stuff. So, that's the big thing, right? Yeah. I mean, all this is just kind of a fancy way of saying you kind of need to play well to get the God mode as a Mihile. That's basically it. So, how do you block stuff? Well, this is the skill you block with, Royal Guard. I'll put it on the screen for you guys now. But basically, I mean, if you look at it like, what the fuck? This skill has like a wall of text when you read it. It's just, but I'll try and simplify it. Basically, it's an iframe skill, a defensive skill, and it gives you an iframe that is synced with the animation of the shield popping up, as you can see. And it's a very small iframe that you get, but if you can connect this iframe with an enemy attack at the same time, it will not only guard that attack, but it'll also give you 4 seconds of invincibility. So, yeah, as you can imagine, this skill is like the centerpiece of Mihile, right? And the cooldown is only 6 seconds, so you can have this up. You can have this invincibility time up, basically like 80-90% of the time if you're really, really good with Royal Guard. So yeah, this is like the whole class is built around it. Huge amounts of synergy. I mean, it has other stuff too. For example, when you successfully guard, it does a counterattack, which gets bigger and bigger. And you also get more and more damage the more times you guard. And this kind of damage is like a damage boost. You can give it to your allies through Soul Link, which is the glowy thing behind me. Not the Mulang Dojo glowy thing, the other glowy thing, right? Hovering above me. I mean, they're both hovering. Whatever. So, yeah. I mean, one tip I will give is that, this skill Royal Guard gets more stacks, and everything else about the skill gets better the more times you successfully guard in a row. But the more stacks of Royal Guard you have, the smaller the timing window for guarding becomes, right? So, as you can imagine, in bossing, it can be incredibly dangerous to have 5 stacks of Royal Guard, because, you want to survive in bossing, and Royal Guard's easiest to use at 0 stacks, and most difficult to use at 5 stacks. Now, I mean, I said I keep it simple, but, I mean, what the hell, right? Like, we'll go back to the basics, but that's just one tip I want to give, be careful with Royal Guard, that it does get more difficult the more times you guard. So, like I said, get back to the basics, and I'll basically show you how I guard. Basically, there are some certain techniques that make it easier, and I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, so we are in Training Forest 3. No better place to train Royal Guard than here, in my opinion, and watch birds killing birds. Bloody hell. Alright, so, yeah, I mean, the reason why I wanted to start with Royal Guard is because I know a lot of people get turned off from the class because of this one skill, and, you might find it difficult to guard, or might find it difficult because of ping, which I totally understand. But yeah, I mean, I do find it difficult. I play from Australia, and I do have ping. God damn these birds. But, yeah. So, how do I guard, essentially? What do I do to guard? As you can see, I'm kind of just guarding on these guys. One thing you'll see me do is jump block a lot. I guess that's the first tip. Jump blocking. It does help landing Royal Guards. It helps connect that iframe to get the invincibility. And, it's very good to do. You gotta practice this. Now, why is it good? You might be wondering, like, why does jumping help land a Royal Guard? Well, I guess the best way to describe it is, like, pretend you're like an electric fly spotter as a Mihile. Just bear with me, and I guess these flies are the flies. And just pretend that if you turn on the electric fly spotter, it only turns on for 1 second, right? So, there's 2 ways to kill the flies. You can kind of wait for them to fly towards you, land on you, and make contact. But that requires precision. Oh, god damn it. That requires precision, kind of timing, which I don't have any of that. So the other smarter way to guard is kind of just turn on the electric fly spotter and just fucking swing at the fly, right? That's why we jump block. Essentially it just gives you more area that you cover in the short amount of time that the guard is on. That's as much as I'll talk about it. It's a stupid analogy. I feel dumber already listening to it, so yeah. Jump blocking. It's a good skill to use. It definitely helps. So the next one is kind of using rope lift, believe it or not. Now, this won't help you in bossing, but surprisingly, this will help you when you're mobbing. Just to rope lift guard, if I can do it. Oh god, if I failed that, bloody hell, that would have been embarrassing. So, yeah, this is just, jump blocking to the next level. Just, god damn it. Yeah. It helps though. It does help. I mean, I do this all the time when I'm mobbing. Just when I get to the platform, I kind of just time it with the guard. And most of the time, you will guard, as you can see. So, yeah. Now, the second trick I will give for Royal Guard is touch damage. I mean, monsters give touch damage. Hopefully you do by now. But yeah, monsters give touch damage. That's how you guard. But bosses also give touch damage some of the time. And a lot of people, I mean, not all bosses do, but for example, Healer does, but I don't think Magnus has touch damage. But this is basically, it's like an advantage that only Mihiles can fully take advantage of, right? So what I do in bosses with touch damage, is amazing. I just kind of stalk them like this, and I just kind of feel the rhythm of the beat, and oh god damn it. Oh, this is so embarrassing, but yeah, you just kind of feel the rhythm of that touch damage, and just, essentially you don't have to actually guard the boss's attacks, just guard the touch damage, and you get the 4 seconds of invincibility, which will then allow you to just dodge the attack, right? So I'll do this, I can't do it in Lotus, but, for example, what's another one I can do it in? What's another one? I can't remember. Arcarium, for example. Yeah, Arcarium, Pink Bean, you can do this. Just hug them like this, feel the rhythm of the beat, and guard. Unless they're as elusive as these goddamn birds, kill each other. Alright, so that's another tip for guarding. Another thing I like to do is jump into a pack of mobs, because as a Mihile, you don't want to take too much damage, but you do want to take frequent amounts of damage. So if there's a huge pack of mobs in bossing, it's just so that the more frequently you're taking damage, just by luck, you'll just randomly guard, right, if you press it. So try and stay near mobs if you can. I understand not all bosses have mobs, but in Lotus, the flying mobs that come to you, they do give you that, touch damage kind of thing. So it's good to stay near them. Alright, so, what's another tip that I want to give? I mean, this is just for general tips. I did say I'll start with basics again, but, I mean, I'll talk about 2 new skills, here. I'll put it on the screen for you. It is the Hyper skill, first of all, 150 Hyper. Sacred Cube. Now, I don't know what Nexon's idea of a cube is, but, what the fuck? That's not a cube, right? I don't know what. It's a prism, right? Maybe it's just translation error. I don't fucking know. But yeah, this skill, it essentially makes your guards a lot more lenient, right? So you can really mistime the guard with this, and it'll still go off. It's a bit... these fucking birds. Oh my god, they're so triggering. Let me just... Before this skill layer runs out. Oh my god. There we go. As you can see, I mistimed that so badly, yet the guard went off like a full second afterwards. That's what I mean with the Sacred Cube. It just makes your Royal Guards always land. Now, it's not retroactive, it's pretty obvious, but if you take a 1-hit KO and then you press guard, nah, it doesn't work like that. You kind of have to mistime it before the guard, if you know what I mean. It has to be before the attack. So, one misconception about that hyper skill is that it kind of, it doesn't do anything by itself, right? You have to use Royal Guard. And, when you first read it, what it does, it gives you 10% damage, that's great. But it also gives you 10% damage reduction. Now, this is like a huge bait, right? When I first read the skill, I thought it meant 10% against 1-hit KOs. No. It doesn't work against 1-hit KOs. Only against, other sources of damage. So, essentially what I'm saying is, this skill is if you just activate it, and you take a 1-hit KO while it's activated, you would still die, right? It doesn't do anything by itself. You have to use it with Royal Guard. So just be careful about that. Don't think it's an actual shield. It's not. You have to use it with Royal Guard. So, secondly, the second skill I want to talk about is one you actually start with, or you probably can't use it until level 10, I don't know, but Night's Watch. the Mihile Link skill there. No, it's not stance. I mean, thankfully Mihiles don't get bloody stance. As a Link skill, they get an awesome buff. I mean, it gives 25% damage, but what it does is it actually guards the next 9 attacks. I mean, not guard, I think that's the wrong word. Blocks the next 9 attacks. There's a difference between guard and block. Guard kind of completely nullifies the attack. Like, in a sense, it doesn't even connect with you. But blocking, you do take the damage from it, but you only take a portion of that damage. So, basically, this skill blocks 70% of incoming hits. I think the correct term is like it's a one-hit KO blocker. It's a percent HP block. That's what I'm trying to say. So, for 9 times after you use it, it'll block 70% of that damage. I mean, 30% of that damage. Meaning you take 70%. God damn it. Essentially, it blocks one-hit KOs, right? It's really nice. Now, the problem with it is that any damage will take off a charge. Like I said, you get 9 charges, 9 shields. Any damage you take will take off a charge. So, yeah, you kind of want to... You don't want to waste it on regular attacks with this guy. But at the same time, you kind of do. And what I'm saying is, for some reason, when you activate Night's Watch, when it blocks something, it actually registers as a guard if you press guard at the same time. So, I mean, I'm not sure if it's active now. It's probably not active anymore. But for some reason, Night's Watch, when you activate it and you press guard, and as roughly around the same time you guard, Night's Watch blocks an attack, it will actually register the guard even if you mistime it. It's actually similar to the hyper skill in how it works. So, I mean, I did say I'd keep it simple, but, like, I don't know, it's just a weird thing that I've discovered. Both Night's Watch and the 150 Hyper Sacred Cube, they both really help with using Royal Guard. So, activate them and spam guard. You know, that's the biggest trick I can do. When you're bossing, just activate them and spam guard. I mean, I will talk about in another video, like buffs, like what priority you should use these skills, because Mihile has multiple defensive tools. Which one do you actually use if you're in immediate danger, as opposed to, you know, you foresee some incoming danger, and what's the priority that you use these skills? But I won't talk about it in this video. Just know that these 2 skills, Night's Watch and Sacred Cube, are amazing. They go hand in hand with Royal Guard. Absolutely amazing. So, there's one more thing I want to talk about. And it's related to another skill, but it's this concept of being safe when you guard, right? Because, like I said, you know, it's almost like if you fail to guard as a Mihile, you're dead, right? So why would you risk it? Why not just dodge instead? Well, it's not always dangerous to guard. Only the first time is dangerous to guard. And the reason why is, I guess I'll put it on the screen now. It's a skill called Soul Link. Soul Asylum. Holy shit, I'm retarded. Soul Asylum, right? And this is a skill, like I said, Mihiles don't have any passives, but this is as close to a passive as Mihile's gonna get. It's not actually a passive, it only activates, it's a buff that only activates when you guard. Right? So, and it is affected by buff duration. I thought I just mentioned that, whatever, right? Now, what this does is it gives you 10% HP block, right? It blocks 10% damage against one-hit KOs. So, but the thing is, you need to guard something first to get this. So, this is kind of the general strategy of Mihile. You want to just keep this up, and while this is up, you want to kind of just YOLO guards, because you're fairly safe when Soul Link is up, as long as you set your pet auto HP to 90% or higher. Yes, 90, because like I said, it only blocks 10% of one-hit KOs, so you kind of gotta set your HP bar at your pet auto HP at 90%. That way, if you ever get close down to 90 or lower, you just go back to 100. That's kind of a tip. It really sucks to use this strategy against Potion Lock. So yeah, if there's a boss with Potion Lock, might want to set that threshold a bit lower, but yeah. I mean, I'm just talking general stuff now. So yeah, Soul Link. It's an amazing skill, but basically this skill is what causes you to play the playstyle of use a defensive cooldown first, like either Night's Watch or the hyper skill, Sacred Cube. Use that first to guarantee that you get a guard off. God damn it. Alright, so as you can see, there's another demonstration of Sacred Cube. Like, how late that guard went off. That's just the effect. Use that to get one guard off to get Soul Link, and during the Soul Link duration, keep guarding, like keep YOLO guarding. And you want to keep the gravy train going. You want to keep the kind of festival going, right? Once that runs out, you're going to find it's dangerous to guard, especially against like Siva. Once my Soul Asylum runs out, once all my defensive cooldowns run out, then it's like, holy shit, if I actually fail to guard, I'm going to die. So that's when I start dodging. And yes, of course, Mihiles can dodge. I mean, you got to decide when to dodge, when to block. But a lot of that decision making largely comes down to whether or not your defensive cooldowns are on and whether or not Soul Asylum is active. So you're going to have to kind of look at your hotbar on the top right. I know I don't have a buff bar right now just because, you know, I kind of like not having UI right now. But yeah, just for this video at least. But yeah, I've talked a lot. So, I mean, this is general strategy for Mihile. These are just basics to guard. And, you know, I will talk about the 5th job skills, especially Sword of Light, which got a major change in the latest patch. I'll talk about that. Plus, I mean, I haven't talked about any of the offensive skills yet. The bossing rotation, stuff like that, which, I mean, that's kind of the fun stuff. So I thought I'd leave that for another video. I've taken up a lot of your time already. I apologize. But yeah, hopefully you found this useful in some way. It is very basic. I'm not calling you guys idiots or anything, but this is kind of stuff that I wish I knew when I first started playing Mihile, and I definitely am an idiot. So yeah, I mean, we'll get to the fun stuff later. Thanks for watching. See you guys.